Cody, how are you?
Good, bro. How you?
Not too bad. Starting from the very beginning, I guess we'd say, because we couldn't tell. I mean, on the series, you're a pretty chill guy. You're pretty down to earth. How pissed were you at Jesse at Tribal Council? And have you changed your feelings since that time?
Yeah, man, that was an emotion I've never felt in my body before. Never had that numbness overtake me. And do I choke slam him into the fire? Do I punch him in the face? Do I roundhouse kick him into the rest of the jury? I don't know. I was pissed. And, you take the high road. I can't. Dude worked me, man. And I respect him from the gameplay that he had. And, yeah, it sucked. There's no doubt about it. But I'm glad I didn't do any of those first options and I just took the high road. My mom would have been very happy.
Yeah, well, it must have took a lot of restraint. I mean, I assume you watched last night's episode and you saw Jesse explaining, the conflict within him about turning on you or not. How did that sit with you when you saw him speak to the camera and say, I'm doing this for my family and whatnot?
I'll be honest, it didn't sit real well with me because I'm kind of like, bro, we all got bills to pay. We all got families. You know what I mean? Like, don't act like you're the only person that's got these $2 mouths to feed. But again, I can't, especially knowing what I know now, dude, he had no choice.
Yeah.
I gave him no choice to make that. He had to make that move, especially with that second idol, it's on me.
Yeah. I was going to ask you too, because people seem to be a little bit confused about what happened. Did he play Janine's idol or did he play your idol against you? And did you give it back to him?
Yes. So that day, Carla had come to me and said, hey, let's walk into tribal with our idols. Let's flex these things and make people think we're really going to play them.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think that's necessary. And the perfect storm occurred. Unknowingly, the two of them were doing this. Jesse also says, hey, man, I think she might have a knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, shit, it's never been played. My guess is it's got to be out here again. They're going to let it play.
Yeah.
And that, then at that point, I got Carlos saying, we got to play the idol. We got to take it to tribal. And Jesse's he didn't really say much. Didn't even ask for it back. Just planted that in my head. And at, towards the end before tribal council, I gave it back to him because I trusted him more than Carla.
Yeah. And
I felt that I take that from him at that moment, he's now going to have some other plan to get me out because he's now doesn't believe that token of trust is there anymore.
Now, what was your plan for the end? Did you plan to take him to the end with you?
Yeah. We talked early in this game, the first day on the first challenge, and said, let's freaking go to the end together, bro. Like, let's do this. And, to my fault, I played for this game in October. I got fast tracked to this point, and I studied the game as much as I could. But some of the episodes that I watched seasons was the Dom and Wendell. So in my mind, I'm like, I can get to the end with another player. And I watched a couple where people got to the end and they never got a single vote. So those two things that, those few seasons that I did watch played a huge part of how I played the game, because I was like, I'm not going to the end and not getting a vote from the jury. That's not going to happen. I played this game to win, and I can get to the end with somebody else.
Yeah. So what would have been your perfect final three at the jury? Who did you want to sit beside?
I was committed to Jesse, so to me it didn't matter as long as one of us won $1 million. The other person was probably Gabler.
Yeah.
I would have sat next to any of those people, to be honest with you. I would have been more than happy to sit next to them. I'd have been more than happy to tell my story. It wouldn't have mattered. I think I had a shot at winning it with any of them. But those were the three that I had planned to go to the end with.
And when you got to the jury, if you were sitting beside Jesse again, you guys worked really well together, throughout the whole scene up to this point. What would your argument have been to the jury of why you deserved it over the other people?
Choreographed the Justine vote out.
Right.
I went to Coco during that raid and said, Dwight, as a strategist, we ended up getting him out and getting our numbers lined
he's
up.
still ticked at that, by the way. He told me he's still pissed about that.
And you know what's crazy? Because when he got voted out, before he got voted out, he came to me and said, "You told Coco I'm a strategist." I said, "Nah, Brian, I said you're a student of the game." And when he walked out with that idol, I said, "I don't know why he would have done that," because he came to me and said, "Hey, man, I'm on the chopping block." And I remember talking about that throughout the season, saying, "I don't understand why he would have left with it. He knew he was on the chopping block." As we know now, he didn't. So that would have been part of the play. I brought Gabler on board. Gabler was on the wrong side of the boat all the way up until I said, "Hey, bro, let's do this."
Yeah.
Those three would have, been my pitches. I provided, man. I was out there. I was getting fire. I was helping people out. I was providing a good time. So I provided. I competed in challenges. I cut my number one. And when in cutting her, making that executive decision of, are we going for strength or loyalty? And I went for strength, and it worked. We won 3 challenges in a row. All those things got me to where I was. And I think that NECA vote, cutting her, gutted me. I couldn't do that again. Yeah. And that's why I couldn't turn on Jesse, or why I kept so much loyalty with him.
Yeah. Now, I say this to every castaway I've interviewed since the beginning, and I'll say the same to you. We only see about, a fraction of what's recorded there when you guys are on the island. So when it comes to your journey or your experience, is there anything that you wish they would have shown, either a moment, a strategy, just some scene with somebody that you had, or a moment that you had? Is there anything that you wish they would have included for people to see on the show?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of content that goes into these episodes. I guess I'll just hit on the last point I made with the NECA thing. That night of her vote out was Mother's Day. I'm a mama's boy. And I'll never forget, we sat on the beach and I had this heart to heart with her. I picked her a bouquet of flowers and we talked about kids. I talked about my relationship with my family. And that was a moment that really changed my game for the rest of the time. I kind of mellowed out after that. As you could tell, before that I was ripping and roaring. That really had me gutted and mellowed me out, probably for the betterment, but I couldn't turn it back on. Yeah. I couldn't turn it back on. Yeah.
So, I was going to say, a lot of people have that. They get into the game and then they have this, sort of conflict of conscience, because, it's easy to say when you get out there, hey, I'm just going to vote these people out. But then you get to know them and they share stories with you, and you're with them 24 hours a day. And it's not as easy, is it, to just send them on their way when you have that connection with them?
Oh, bro, there's an emotional attachment out there. Yeah. Every relationship is built of experiences, and we are having experiences out there unlike any other. Yeah. I spend more time with those people than I do my own parents in a year. Uninterrupted time on the beach, and that emotional part is difficult. And you're out there for a long time. And you're not just talking about strategy the whole time. You're talking about life. And you're looking at these people in the eyes. You're sleeping right next to them. You're starving with them. You're going through these challenges that are taking you to your limits. It's really tough to cut that tie, especially for someone like myself that, leads with my heart. I'm a Iowa nice and aloha spirit, man. That's who I am. And I knew that was going to be a challenge for me, and it was ultimately my demise.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you can't say exactly what happened, but you're a juror. You're going to go in there, and you're going to be one of the people responsible for having a vote to see who wins this season. As that date came forward, what was your thoughts on who you were going to award the money to? Was it a certain quality? Was it how they played the game? What went into your thought process? Not the specifics, but generalities. What went into your thoughts about who you think should win?
How much of just respect I had for the game. Obviously, I was going to kind of mirror my choice of the winner based on who I am and how I played the game. Yeah. So it wasn't going to be anything. There was no strict criteria for me. It wasn't like whoever won the most challenges or whoever was the best strategy. I wanted the most well-rounded player.
Right. And one more thing before we go, Cody. I've watched the series since the very beginning. You're one of the most genuine, charismatic characters we've ever seen on the show, because I think you're yourself 150% on that show. Would you ever come back and play again? Because you showed a great mind for the game in all different facets. You're a really well-rounded player. Would you go back and play again?
You watched last night's episode, man. I got some revenge, and I gotta avenge what happened, man. Like, absolutely, that's something. I gotta avenge that, bro.
Right. Well, we wish you all, thanks again for taking the time to talk to us today. I wish you all the best of luck in the future. And I have a funny feeling, Cody, that perhaps your survivor story isn't over yet. So I hope we get to see you again, and I hope we get to talk again. But all the best of luck. It was amazing watching you during the season. And yes, a lot of people were gutted last night.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. No, thank you.